Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. The next episode of Red Valkyrie is about to start. Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of Red Valkyrie. I am your first host, Shae Zombie. It's nice to see everybody. And off to my side, I have Cyborg Valkyrie.
Hello.
Yay, I didn't have to tell you to say hello this time. And we have the most exciting guest that we've had in a while. We have the lovely Lady Alchemy. How are you doing?
Well, thank you so much. What an intro. Thank you.
I'm just saying. So we've got a whole lot of really awesome stuff to cover. Hi, Vinny. Hello, Arch. Frago, Wonder Girl, Ted, Alaz. Oh my gosh, we have so many people in the chat today. Sven. Hello, Sven. I hit the first name. I hit the last name. I went with the middle. It was the only one that I could pronounce. So with that, we're just going to roll straight into Martina telling us all about her super awesome comic, and go ahead and give us your pitch for Lady Alchemy.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Lady Alchemy, Mutus Liber, and it's pretty much just like a fantastical version of my real life events as a performance artist in New York City, a comic book version of it, which is something I've always wanted to do. And it has lots of alchemy. It has stuff about, what everyone wonders about, trying to figure out the mysteries of the universe and trying to understand one's purpose in life. And things start to come to light about who she is and what she's about. And the Mutus Liber is a book that she comes across that teaches her all about alchemy, her bloodline, and how to summon archangels and spirits.
Archangel, I love that. That is so cool. So so everything about this just seems really really kind of interesting, because you have a lot of that kind of gothic vibe, a lot of that kind of witchcraft, and the bit that everybody's kind of has that allure and that draw to. But the fact that you modeled this after a lot of like your own real life events, that's really interesting. Like that's
and like I said, it's a fantastical version of it. So there's a lot of elements that parallel real life, and I just always thought it was perfect for a comic book story, superhero story, because I was living in New York City, performing. So I would go out at night and have costumes and have this whole superhero vibe, and then there's like the daytime version where I'm studying about the mysteries of the universe and the elites and what's going on in the world and all the propaganda and the influences of these powers that be on people. And so it just kind of made sense. I always viewed Lady Alchemy as a comic book. And then when all that stuff happened to me with the blacklisting and getting targeted over politics and what happened, that can kind of come to life in the comic book as well through, again, fantastical version. I don't directly talk about politics in it, but it just, the way that everyone can just have propaganda go to love you and then go to hate you, and you become the enemy of the people. So that's kind of how it's,
Right. And for anyone living under a rock that doesn't know, Martina was a performance artist in New York around the time of 2016. And so when politics happened, she quickly found herself on the outs with the more, 99% liberal performing arts community in New York City. And she paid the price for that.
Yeah. So that can, I brought it to life in a cool comic book way through, storytelling. And so it's super fun. It's kind of cathartic. It's also a way to keep Lady Alchemy alive. It's just something that, since I have been able to be Lady Alchemy the past few years, I get to keep her alive in the world and tell her story. So it's exciting. And I think it really, really fits in the comic book world, doing a lot of research and stuff. I mean, in the 90s, when I liked comic books, it was, I love, and this is the whole Comicsgate thing issue too with people, is that like I always liked as a young girl like beautiful, sexy women, you know, in these comic books. I liked Witchblade. I liked Fathom. I liked Dark Child. I don't know if anyone knows who Dark Child is. Gen 13. I loved it. I mean, they had like abs, but they had those thighs, that cut in the thigh, you know, that muscle, like those, the hips, and like they just were so beautiful. And I was like, oh, I love that. So it was super fun to just kind of grow up and become a real life like superhero. I have the superhero bod now, and costumes and all that stuff. So I personally love that sexy stuff, and I support those sexy girl comics, and that's what I wanted to do, is bring it back to life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's something that at least I know that has always kind of bothered me, because being a much larger girl growing up, it's not like I'm not sitting here as this tiny little, you know, stick figure, or this little short, like petite girl. I've always been massive. Like, yeah, I'm a very tall girl. And I remember looking to like various strong female characters that, you know, embraced being girly and were also very tall, long legs, big boobs, and all that. And I was like, that's what I love. And then as I started to get older, they're like, yeah, you don't actually love that, and it's the patriarchy that's selling it. And I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, that speaks to
women
me.
do love it. Yeah. And I mean, as a performer, a lot of my fans were either gay men or women. They were just like, they love beauty. We love pretty things, and you can't really take that away from us.
Right. And nor should you. I mean, and people find beauty in various forms, but finding beauty in a slightly more traditional form isn't something that somebody should feel bad about. And I think that in a lot of the pictures and stuff that you have where you are embodying like Lady Alchemy, and you got that unbelievably gorgeous headdress that you wear.
Thank you.
With all of these like flowy, you know, garments and everything. It's always so feminine, but very powerful. And that's something that I've always loved.
Right. Yeah. And that's something, random fly in here. It's like drawn to this light that I have, those fruit flies, or I don't know where it came from. But yeah, that's something that I wanted to portray, was that, I mean, an inspiration was kind of like, I know this is really weird because it's like monarchy, but like I remember watching like the Elizabeth movie in the 90s as well, or something. I think it was like 98 or something, 99. And on Queen Elizabeth, the Virgin Queen. And just something about her where it like she like becomes this like holy figure, you know, this like otherworldly figure, and she paints her face white and has those like, she just becomes the Virgin Queen, you know, modeled after the Virgin Mary. And that's kind of why a lot of my costumes are very like religious looking or whatever. It's because like I love like halos, and a halo in art history represents like an aura. That's what it's supposed to be. It's an aura that is coming from this like energy, this like spirit that is like just emanating, this light emanating around someone. So the way that they depict it in art is, you know, this halo. And so I wanted to use that iconography, is that how you say it? Yeah. Of you know, these religious figures, whether it's saints or the Virgin Mary or whatever, by just like having this grandness. And that's kind of what the Queen Elizabeth did, was just become untouchable. Like you're this like outer worldly character, and that's definitely, you got it. That's what I wanted to do, was create something that was like not just like I'm a girl, just someone that's like, whoa.
Right.
Outerworldly.
You would do that in stage performance too, because you're setting yourself kind of apart from the audience, making yourself this untouchable ideal. So,
Right. Yeah.
No, this is really cool, and I love the concept of it. I love a lot of the art that I've seen of it so far. So before we get too much more into that, let's go through the tiers that you still have, because this is still in demand, and it's been in demand for a hot minute. We'll get to why that is, but
we'll get to that.
let's go over the tiers first. So if you're interested in backing, you know that there's still time, you can get cool stuff. So your first tier, you have the 40-page graphic novel, which is the physical copy, correct?
Yeah. That's the book.
Book. Gotcha.
It's going to be a different cover. These shirts, I have those shirts. I mean, I have them right now, actually, in this room. So those are all printed. Anyone that got ordered that tier should have received them, unless they're abroad, which they're getting sent out now. I have my guys working on sending it out.
My guys, she has a warehouse full of guys.
Yeah. I wish. No, it's just my husband. But yeah, no, I tried to send them out before I left to come back to America, and like, oh my God, just the Royal Mail is so ridiculous. They were trying to charge me like $40 like per tube to like send out stuff. I was like, that doesn't make sense. $40, like you can get a poster on Amazon for not $40 in shipping. Like, calm down. So we had to like shop around and find the right place that will send the tubes like not that expensive. So yeah, everyone should be getting have their shirts or be getting their shirts. It's ready to go. Yeah. So a lot of yeah, the posters as well. So all the posters and the shirts, pretty much every tier except the tarot cards and the book is out and has been sent out.
Oh, I really like that second one. B.
That's really
cool.
Yeah,
that one's really fun.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So for either the poster prints or the shirts, you're getting one or the other, right?
Yeah, you have an option to pick. We have a ton of different options.
Perfect.
Plenty of posters, please. So this kind of goes into my issues that I had with my team. And we will go over it, which is also why it's taking so long. But part of it is also the merch. So I have so much fucking merch. Can I swear?
Yeah.
I have so much fucking merch.
Hold on.
So please, I have.
Okay, say it one more time.
I have so much fucking merch. I have 90 pounds of goddamn posters. So please buy a poster. Please help me get rid of this merch.
I'm drafting a fucking poster.
I am. I'm thinking that I might just go in like Wheat Paste, New York City, all Lady Alchemy.
Well, I was thinking, wallpaper for right behind you.
Yeah.
You don't need anything on your wall. Just do Lady Alchemy posters.
Yeah, you could tile them, like they do on the sides of sidewalks. There you go.
I think she's sick of them.
I may even just bring the price down. I don't know if I'm allowed to change things on the campaign once it's ordered.
So
I'll do what I can.
Is you would hide that tier and create a new tier at a lower price.
Mm-hmm. So
smart.
Something that you definitely don't know, because this will be the first time that we've talked. Sai and I used to do a lot with marketing and Indiegogo campaigns and editing and branding and things like that. And so if you have questions about your campaign or how to do certain things, like, hit us up.
Thank you. I definitely will.
Yeah, and we'll talk after if you have time.
I was gonna say, we'll talk after this.
Please. Yes.
The tarot cards are really exciting. I saw these when you announced them.
Yeah, so a lot of people are like, you should do tarot cards. It's going to look different. The pack's going to look different. It's not going to be like my face on there like that. So I'll keep everyone posted about any of the changes aesthetically, what's going on. And the tarot cards are going to be the biggest pain in my ass. And again, we'll get to why. But that might even just come out after the book. So if you're just like really into it, go ahead and get it. It will, I promise everything will get out to you eventually, but that's going to be kind of like the other project I have to get working on. But the tarot cards are fun because it just really fits with Lady Alchemy. And I really think that once people understand the story and the book is out, it's going to be really, it's just going to fit and people will really get into it. It'll be kind of like, either if you're not into tarot, just like trading cards, like just different cards. But it adds that element of like immersive play, because there'll be Lady Alchemy tarot cards, and tarot is part of alchemy and on all that stuff. So it kind of all fits together. And I think that's what I was going to say before. When I was talking about the 90s comics, I was then been doing a lot of research and working on this book now. And I really think it'll fit well with the comic book world, because it's going to be kind of like a more adult version of what is it called? Scarlet Witch. which I'm just like, oh, I love this. And I love the modern Scarlet Witch covers. I think look really cool. And it just kind of makes sense. It's really funny, though, is that Scarlet Witch is Serbian and I'm Croatian. Serbs and Croatians don't like each other. So it's really funny. And she's more into like feminist witchcraft stuff. And I'm more like alchemy. So I just really see it fitting really, really well in the just whole universe of comic books. Like, it's just going to be a really fun, beautiful Lady Alchemy character. And I think when the story's out, people will be like, this is really cool. Even if you're not into my politics, they'll be like, this is actually really cool.
That is awesome. So I actually, not a fan of tarot, but I want that because it's really, it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. For sure. Yeah. And I mean, for me, they'll just be pretty pictures, but
that's exactly it. And to be honest, when I heard that you were coming out with the tarot cards, I'm like, well, fuck, because like if your campaign ends, I mean, that's like more than the posters, more than the t-shirts, that was what I was going to be most upset about missing out on. So, and like Shae, I mean, I'm not into tarot, but I mean, I've seen enough like really artistically really well done tarot decks to know that they're works of art in themselves.
Right. Yeah, recently there was this tarot deck that came out, Salvador Dali one, and it just looks so beautiful and stunning. And I mean, a lot of the tarot bases are the major arcanum are like works of art, and they're archetypes, you know. So it's just like there is like the high priestess, the magician, the death, like all these things, the tower, they're works of art, and then some. Yeah, and it's like you don't have to know how to read it, but it's just like they're just like archetypes, and visual archetypes that just it makes sense, even if you don't like have to do tarot yourself.
Right, I'm really glad it comes with an instruction booklet. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So in case you want to read tarot, so I used to read tarot when I was younger, but I don't now. It didn't agree with me, but the artwork, I will say, is beautiful.
There was a Ouija board. It went awry.
Yeah.
No, I don't like Ouija. Ouija scares me.
Yeah, that one's a bit.
Moving along. Too much.
Sorry. So we got the 2-book tier for $45, so you can get 2 physical copies of the graphic novel.
Yeah, and if you get multiple copies, there's the 2-book tier and the 3-book tier. So it's like, I don't know, some people want multiple copies, and that there's a price, what is it called?
Discount?
Sale? Yeah, there's a discount. Yeah, if you decide to do that. Awesome. Yeah, and then this is the poster and book tier. So,
very cool.
And then you have 3 books.
Yeah.
And the discount seems to increase as you go up, so that's good.
Yeah, naturally.
I wouldn't say that. I've seen plenty of copies get right.
We're happy that you understand that, is what she's saying.
Yeah. That's the way it's supposed to go,
Yes.
But and then there's like the 150 tier, and it comes with 2 posters, a shirt that you get to pick which one you want, a book, and of course I throw in like stickers and a bunch of stuff that I have made anyway in there, like little bonuses.
So that one's more like a swag tier that has so it says poster, but you actually are giving both posters?
Yeah, because some people were like, oh, you need something more for the 150 tier. That's because you're adding so much more money compared to the poster book tier. So I was like, okay, I'll just throw you guys like both posters or whatever, a bunch of stickers, everything I have, I'll throw in that one.
Just try and unload that 90 pounds worth of swag.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my God.
I've got this stuff sitting around. It's going in the box.
It's going.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Well, that and also it's just like, I don't know, it means a lot to me. So it's just like I want to give as much as like I possibly like am able to give for what you are supporting me, No,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, that makes sense.
And then you get some sold out ones, like the silk screen.
Ooh.
Yeah, the silk screen. Oh my God, actually, I should have whipped it out. But so they got mailed to my mom's house when I was in the UK, and now that I'm back, I haven't even opened the package, but I have them all, which is really exciting. I should see it. And I'll work on mailing them out. But yeah, they're all sold out. I may have made like one or two or whatever that maybe there was a refund on. So I'll got to count and look at all of that. But these are silk screen. So that's what's different than the other posters. The other posters, the 90-pound goddamn posters are printed. They're printed on a machine. And so these posters are silk screen from like a really, really cool company. They're just like super artsy, super hipster artsy people. And it has that like, you know, silk screen effect where there's like layers and there's texture to it, and it's a work of art. So that's really
cool. Wow. That's really interesting. All right. Well, goodness, like there's a lot of really, really beautiful art and a lot of really
Thank you.
Interesting stories. So I guess this would be, yeah, let's talk stretch goals before we get into the drama. So
okay.
The update.
Okay.
The update. We are drama free. Thank you. This is just an update as to the campaign.
Yeah.
All right. So the $10,000 stretch goal. Tell us about that.
Okay. I haven't seen this in a while. What does it say? 10,000. It's unlocked. This goddamn thing.
You get the other.
Those of you.
Gotcha.
Those of you that purchased the 150. Yeah. So this is how like I couldn't change the like perks, and so when I was on Ethan's show, they were like, "Oh, you should offer a little bit more for the 150 perk." And I was like, "Okay, like sure." I took that advice, and so what I did was just added it to the stretch goal. So now pretty much everyone gets like the 2 posters in addition to like stickers, whatever it is I have thrown in that 150 tier. And then $25,000 is unlocked, and that's when we started doing the tarot cards. Because, you know, these are all expenses and stuff. So it's like you need a certain amount of funds to be able to, like, to make these tarot cards is actually quite an endeavor. I mean, I have to pay the artist and the colorist like 72, you know, cards worth. That's like it's a whole job. It's a lot more money. Then I have to get them printed. I know it's like $40 or whatever for the cards, but it's not a really big margin on those cards. I may even be losing out, but whatever. It's worth it. I promised it. It's happening.
And you know, even without the book, they're so iconic to your project too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just cool. And then we have the $40,000, which is unlocked. And this is fixing the mess that was created.
That's why I was laughing in advance, because I read forward a little bit and I hadn't caught that. So yeah,
fixing the mess that was created. It was a perk of I mean, we had stretching the book to 60 pages. We had at one point adding like what I really wanted to do was have kind of like a little, it's like a headshot type thing, like comp card that would fit the size of the comic, like slip it in there like an insert, and kind of like, you know, when celebrities used to have like headshots, you like take it to them, that's what they would sign. I don't know if people do that anymore, but that was like the olden time like thing to do. So kind of like that, but just like a Lady Alchemy. I would actually do a photo shoot, you know, and do a Lady Alchemy themed photo shoot, the IRL person, not a drawing, and have some prints made for everyone. I still might try to do that at some point, but like this mess that I will tell you about, I'm really in a hole and I cannot afford to do that right now. So I have to make the 40,000 fixing the mess.
And then it was 60,000 of the pinup.
Yeah, so at 60,000, I think that's kind of similar to what I was thinking about before, was that's the insert. And if I fix the mess that I'm in a bit and I'm able to afford printing out some prints, Pablo Romero is a friend of mine, and he does fantastic, I'm pretty sure everyone knows who he is. He does fantastic, beautiful women. And I want to have him do maybe like a cool pinup in his style.
Very cool. Okay. So since it's covered in the stretch goal, let's go over the mess.
Okay, so my campaign did incredibly well, thanks to Ethan, thanks to everyone supporting, thanks to Comicsgate, thanks to people supporting, you know, the issues that I've had in the performing scene, and it did so incredibly well. And you would look at that number and be like, damn, you know, that's like, she's golden, she's good. And I got into this project with an artist friend of mine, and he helped make like the campaign art, and we went over everything that we were going to do as far as like hiring a writer. And he's out in LA, so he's like, oh, I have this like Hollywood script writer, right, that's going to work on it, blah, 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 which I'm like, great, because I'm not a writer, I'm an artist. I have a storyline, I have a basic idea, but how do I do a proper script? You know, that I mean, that's a skill, that's a talent, that's like a profession for people, is script writing and writing in general. So I have ideas, but I need it put down in a coherent manner. So I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. And then when that campaign launched and the money was dispersed into the account, my artist was like, you know, pretty much like, yeah, give me money. And I'm just like, okay. But the thing is, like, because we were in this project together, so I was like, well, I don't really feel comfortable giving the money, like, because we were going to split it like 50-50, right? And I was like, well, I don't know what 50-50 is, because we have all these perks, we have all these expenses that we have to do. Right. So I don't know what money to give you, because I don't know what we're going to have by the end of it.
Profit and loss yet.
Right. So I was like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Let's like wait till the end and then go, this is what we have left, you know, and just like split it. And he was like, no, I'd rather have my money up front. So I'm just like, okay. So I gave him like $3,000 like off the bat, thinking, okay, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, we of course didn't have like this much money exactly, but we had like a good amount of money. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So
you're at 25. So
yeah, and the thing is, then you have to realize that like Indiegogo takes a cut, you know. Yep. So that number you see is not what I have. Like it's
and then they hold plenty. It in reserve.
Yeah, so yeah, they definitely have like they take a cut of it, and then I have to put away like $5,500 for taxes, you know, and then it's like, so, you know, tens of thousands of dollars start to kind of roll you off. Don't really have it anymore. You know what I mean? You're kind of like, this is not what you think. It's not like I'm rolling in the dough with all this money. So it's like, okay, 5,500 for taxes. And then it's like the artist wanted like $3,000. And then it's like, then he's like, oh, I got my boys doing that can print the posters, right? Like my boys in LA will print your posters. I was like, okay. And I let him handle it. And then he's like, it's going to be like $2,000. And I'm like, $2,000 for posters? I was like, we don't need that many. If you look at the campaign, it's only a few $100s. I was like, we don't need like $2,000 worth of fucking posters. And then it's like, oh, okay. And then next thing I know, I'm invoiced for $1,000. And I was just like, that's still a lot of money. And then I was like, whatever. I just like couldn't be bothered. I was like, okay, whatever. And I paid it. And then it's like, we get video. It's like, look at how amazing. Look at all these posters. Like, blah, blah. The posters are so great. The posters are so great. And then it's like, okay. And then I get another invoice for $1,000. I was like, I thought I paid the posters. And it's like, oh no, that was half. So $1,000 on posters when I only needed a handful of them. So, you know, I'm talking thousands here, you know, every single time it's something, it's thousands, you know. Then the silkscreen posters, you know, that cost a decent amount of money, which is understood. I mean, it's, you know, silkscreen posters. And so, you know, that was like, what, 1,500 or something. And then it's like the t-shirts, they were silkscreened. They weren't done on some cheap, like, printing thing. I mean, I don't know how people do shirts nowadays, but I think this is definitely a more simple method. And what we did was like the old school silk screen method. And, you know, that cost a few thousand. So it's like, again, like I'm saying, everything's like a few thousand here, few thousand there, 5,000 here, you know, and it's just like, it adds up. And then a year went by. Oh, and then it's like, oh, my boy's printing, you know, can get the stickers done. And it's like $600 for stickers. And it's like almost $1,000, you know, and I'm not making money off that. Yeah. Right. And then it's like, I'm not making money off that. These are just extra perks that I'm including. So just everything started to add up. And then it was like a few months go by. It's like, oh, I need more money. Can I have more money? And I'm like, all right, here's another grand, you know?
No,
so
Martina.
I know. So then it's like, there's another grand. So $4,000. And then it's like a year goes by and it's like, oh, spend money on this. Like, you need to get this printer. You need to buy this. Like, oh, use the comic book money. Use the comic book money. And I'm like, dude, motherfucker, I like you were not understanding that, like, it adds up. Like, I don't like, we don't even have the book, you know? And so a year went by and it was just like, spend money on this, oh, I'm really broke. I'm like, do you need money? Like, okay, here's like $250. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like constantly like asking for money and spending money.
Wow.
And I'm just like, okay, well, it's been a year and everyone is really like, hey, Martina, where's the fucking book? Where's the book? Where's the book? Right. So I'm just like, dude, where's the book? Like, where's the art? Where's the art? Send me art. You know, I need to see, like, it's late. We're really late on this. Like, you need to send me a folder of art. Like, I need to see where we're at. And so I get this folder of art and it's 14 pages. And I'm like, motherfucker, it's 14 pages. That's like not even a quarter of the book that we promised. And it's been a year. At this rate, it's going to be another 3 years to get this book done. And then I'm going through the pages and Lady Alchemy is only in 2 of them.
Wow.
He like, Lady Alchemy doesn't even show up until page 13.
In her own book?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. It turned into him writing himself into the comic, and it turned into his comic, and he was the main character. And it was like, like between him and like the writer, it was like they're the main, like he's the main character of the story. And it was like Lady Alchemy is kind of just like this girl that needs this guy's help constantly. And it was like, and I'm no feminist, but it's like like people are paying for a Lady Alchemy book. Like, you have to make it a Lady Alchemy book, you know? And it's just like, you can't just have her being like, oh, I don't know what to do, I need your help, like, kind of girl. Like, people are expecting Lady Alchemy to be the superhero. So
she's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I need big strokes.
I can't do this. Yeah, I can't do this without you. Like, and I'm just like, I can't. And it just became all about him. I was like, I don't think my backers are going to be happy about this book, because it's not even about Lady Alchemy. It's about this random character that no one is like, that no one backed. And I'm sorry, I'm just reading. I got to turn these comments off because like some of my guys are in here, they know like stuff that's going on. So
no, they're hilarious. I love that.
There's inside jokes. There's like inside jokes in here. It's just so funny. Yeah. So what was I saying? And then it just turned into like, okay, well, let's get the story out. Like, let me see. Let's like have this meeting. Let's look like page by page. What is going on? What do we have done? Like, let's like figure out how to get this thing to happen. And I was trying to get them to basically storyboard a year and months late this story. And I'm just like, let's go through it page by fucking page. And I wasn't really happy with the story. It had nothing to do with anything I asked them to include. It became all like completely a different story than what I wanted. It had nothing to do with Lady Alchemy. And then it was just not completed at all by any measure. And when I tried to get them to go page by page, they stopped at page 30, and it was supposed to be a 60 page book at that point. And I was like, well, that's just half of it. Let's keep going. What's on the next page? And they're like, no, we're going to stop there. You know, let's just work on the 30 pages. And I was like, guys, let's storyboard the whole goddamn story. It's a year and like 4 months late. Let's go through, hash it out. I don't care if we're on this call for 5 hours. Let's hash out the story. Let's get it on page. And
I don't wait, hold up. I don't understand this. No, we're gonna stop there. And it's like, I'm the one paying you. So if I'm telling you I want the entire thing storyboarded and you want to keep getting a paycheck, you're going to storyboard the whole damn thing. Because I am you are the sugar mama right now. Like, what the hell? How are they going to tell you no?
And I kept getting treated like they were running the meeting and they were telling me what's going on.
No, they literally when I was like girled you. They like put you in the corner. It's like, okay, pretty little girl, just sit over there. Like, I'm the financier.
Right. And it was just like they kept like telling me what to do. And then at one point I was like, no, we need to storyboard this whole thing. Like, the writer kind of got like loud at me and was like, Martina, you're trying to like organize this thing where it's like a filing cabinet, and when you pull it out, it's like that's the page. I was like, yes, I am. And they were like, well, that's not how it works. Like,
yes, it is.
That would be that. Thank you.
Yes, it is. That is exactly how it works.
Okay, so
he's like, it would be great if it worked that way, Martina, but it doesn't work that way. And I'm like,
oh my god. I would lose my fucking mind. What were you going to say?
So oh yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Having been an editor on a project and having to write herd on artists and writers, that's exactly how this fucking works.
Thank you.
Not only that, but I'm a writer too. So
oh my gosh. Oh, my brain.
I know. So they were trying to like overpower this, and it was just all bullshit. It was LA bullshit where it was just like, no, what you need to do, Martina, is like you need to get out there and raise more money. Like you need to go out there and just like tell everyone why it's so late by saying like how amazing the artwork is, like blah blah blah. And I was like, I can't just go out there and bullshit and raise more money.
What art? Gotta have art for you to be able to
the art you can't use about characters people don't want. I was going to ask
you
if this is paralleling your life and they made her into the sidekick. Did the two characters that they added into the comic also come to Lady Alchemy every time they needed more money?
Oh my god, no, they don't even have the self-awareness about that.
Oh my god.
So I had a decision to make, and I was just so unhappy, and I was unhappy the way that I was being treated. I was like constantly being like talked at, and I was stressed because the money was down to the wire, and you know, the thousands of dollars that I paid him, I was like, I need him to finish what he's doing. And then it just kind of clicked for me, and I was like, I'm going to have to let go of those thousands of dollars. Like, I'm going to have to just let go of it. I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to have to pull money out of my own pocket, unless I sell all these goddamn posters. And
How many pounds?
You know what? I'm going to have you just send me like a crate of them, and I'm like, would you like a poster? $25. I gotta help my girl out. This was some bullshit. You don't understand. Buy a damn poster.
Right. And it really, really is. But ultimately, I had to just like it. Like it's kind of like being in like an abusive relationship where you feel like you are dependent on someone, and like you're like, please, like do this, like please finish, like please, like I need you, And then it was just like, wait a minute. When you start stepping back and you realize like you were in an abusive relationship, you're like, why did I put up with that? You know, like, why did I need that?
Right.
So I stepped back and was like, wait a minute, I don't want this story. And this is not happening the way I want it to happen. So I said, enough is enough. I got all the merch in my possession, and then I let it go. And I said, have fun with the $4,250 that I gave you. You can have your own comic book, because clearly that's what you were working on. That's my contribution. Oh, another thing that pissed me off about it too is that the way that they kept talking to me about, like, because I was like, well, I need art. Like, the backers are asking, when is this going to be done? When is this going to be done? And I don't have an answer for them. I don't have a date. I don't have anything to tell them. It makes me look bad. This is my reputation. This is my name. I need to know how much art you can get done a week. Give me an average, you know, if you can do 0 art 1 week, but you can do 5 pages another week. I need to average it out so that I can calculate like a date and give backers what they're asking.
Right.
And I kept getting talked at by both of them. Like, oh, well, like he needs to pay his bills. Like he has to pay rent. Like he has he has to take other jobs.
Wait,
and I was like,
that is not your responsibility. You are not his mother. Okay, just because he can't get enough work to pay his own damn bills, that is not your problem.
Well, the thing is, too, is that I'm not asking for him to do this for free. I paid you thousands of dollars. So
yes. And if he had done it in a timely fashion within a normal timeline required,
gosh,
that money would have covered those bills for that time period. It just won't cover it for a year and a half.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
I am so enraged on your behalf. The amount that I want to go find these guys and be like, I'm going to kneecap you, and I'm 6'1". I will wear 6-inch heels just to be 6'7".
I know.
So when I kneecap you, it's that much worse.
I mean, it's definitely been very, very stressful, and it's going to continue to be stressful because, I was paying people thousands of dollars when I'm the one that had my career blacklisted. I'm the one that has no money. I'm the one that cannot work. And now I'm going to be the one putting in my own money that I don't have to make sure that I finish this for the backers. So unless I can sell those posters, like I am going to have to struggle to use my own funds to fix this project. But ultimately I have to deliver what I promised. And I'm actually really, really excited about the new story, because once I got free from this like abusive relationship, I was like working on my own story and going, I'm so excited now. I was like, this is such a good story now. And the artwork is going to be fantastic. Matthew Weldon is fantastic. So he's going to do a really great job, and he's a really nice guy. So there's someone else to support now other than me. It's like Matthew, totally on board, totally great. And the story, I'm so happy with, and I'm so excited. So the thing is, the art is going to be a little bit different. The cover is not going to be what you see. The silkscreen posters, the T-shirts, and the 90 pounds of printed posters have the old artwork, which is fine, because I think that it is actually going to be one of those like classic, like old school, like vintagey kind of things of like that, like it's going to change. It's going to shift the aesthetics, but like this merch, which I still think is cool. I really love the one with the moon, and she's like, like that. It looks really cool as a shirt. There's some really cool aspects to that art that is already there, but I think it'll be one of these like, how do you relate it to, I don't know, maybe like an old school kind of cartoon or game or something where it's like it had that old, it'll be like the Super Mario Brother like 1985 version compared to like their new modern graphics or whatever. Like it'll just be kind of like this period of time where it had this weird synthy kind of look, and it's like that was the old school Lady Alchemy. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, and it definitely kind of, I don't know, it gives you, despite the fact that the reason that you have it is such a shitty reason, it gives you kind of like a little bit of history and a little bit of buy-in for anyone who's going to back now. So like, I'm going to back and I'm going to get this book and it's going to be totally different art. But then if I get like the poster, I'm going to have this kind of throwback art for what it was originally going to be. And so it's kind of like, it gives it history that it doesn't necessarily have, because it's still a first issue, but it gives you something.
Yeah. And I think that like once it's like that merch is gone and it's out there, like it's never going to be that again. So it's kind of like unique and like a collector's item of sorts.
Right, like exactly. The evolution of the concept too. So
yeah. So you'll have that first phase of Lady Alchemy, which is,
and that's actually something that when you start to do like book 2, book 3, that's why a lot of people are so happy that they got book 1, is because book 1 was the original idea, and then 2 and 3 kind of you start to see the changes as it starts to find itself. And so now you've kind of through a very bizarre happenstance, you got that built in book 1, which is really hard to do.
Yeah. I know. But like I said, look at
positives.
And that's the thing. I was like, okay, I have to, like, what do I do? And it's just like, well, it is what it is. I think it's like a vintage collector's item at this point, because it will never be that again. So that's kind of cool about it. And I genuinely think, and we can get into the story about the details of the story, I genuinely think this is going to fit into the comic book world so well, and the story is really, really cool. And I really think that once it's out, it, like, so far people have supported me just because they support me. They see the streams, they see me on Ethan, they see, like, they're just like, oh, she's nice, like, she's cute, like, I'll support her book. Whatever it is, they'll support it, even if it was kind of crappy. That's why I was kind of like, oh, do I let him continue this story? I'm not really happy about it. Like, whatever, people will be fine with it. And then I was kind of like, no, now this story, the way that I have it, I guarantee people that have no idea about my personal story and journey, or, whatever, could pick it up and go, cool.
Right. Good. You no longer have to talk yourself into lowered expectations.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I think that's something that's really important. It's actually something that's come to light with a couple of different creators that I've talked to this past weekend, even, is you kind of have to have where you're willing to compromise as far as your name and your brand goes. So if you're an artist and somebody wants to hire you to do something that you aren't comfortable with, you've got to decide where is your line on that. It's the same thing if you're a writer and editor. If you have an idea and you are hiring somebody to help you create it, you have to decide how much of your idea, because obviously if you're not the one writing it, it's going to change slightly from what is in your head. because they're not in your mind.
Yeah, and that was the issue that I had, was like that line kept like in my stomach, I kept feeling this like oh, I'm not happy. And then, you know, the writer turned it into whatever he wanted. Whenever I wanted to change something, whether it was like, I want to change this name, or how about instead of this happening, you know, it being my mother, how about it's like my sister, or how about, you know, these little details, it was like, no, it has to be this way because the story, like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, you know, the blood thing has to be in there. I have to have the blood thing. That's like a really important thing to me. And it was just like, no blood thing. 30 pages in, no blood thing. You know, I don't want to see a blood thing.
Yeah, and another really important thing that I think people need to realize is, regardless of what kind of creator, you need to respect the boundaries of that creator. So if somebody is hiring you to help write their story that they want to write, you only get so much of your own creative liberty. Because at the end of the day, you're being paid by that other person to help them bring their story to life. It's not your story. It's their story with your words.
Right. And it turned into like it just being about me raising the money and using my name and my platform so that they could do whatever they wanted.
And let's be real, your looks. It's 1,000% was using your looks and you as a model, everything that you got going. Because that, if we're gonna be wholly honest, Martina, really, like, you're a fucking bombshell. Of course, that's one of the easiest things for somebody else to try and market against. But the problem with that is you're not just a bombshell. Like, you're a person. You have a brain.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's like I have a following. Yeah. Like I have, you know, a following on social media. I was going on the stream, like Ethan streams. Like I have, you know, my face and my name and my brand on it.
Right.
And they were using that and doing whatever they wanted and not listening to me. And so it came to a point where I was like, listen, there's like all these strikes that are like happening and it's like boom, boom, boom. But like ultimately, you know, I was very generous and I gave a lot of leeway and I, you know, was willing to share 50-50, which, you know, he got more than 50 because I'm going to end up I'm going negative doing it. So congratulations, you got $4,250. I got, you know, negative, but like, you know, so how's that for being a partner?
How much?
$4,250.
Thank you. You had said it twice. I wanted to make sure it came in loud and clear.
Oh,
we're highlighting this shit.
I say it all the time. I say it all the time. I'm like, $4,250.
Oh my God.
I will say it over and over again. $4,250, motherfucker.
And how many
I get
merch?
90 pounds of goddamn post.
And wait, what's your profit margin?
Negative.
Negative.
In the fucking red.
Negative.
And not the good red like Red Valkyrie, like in the crappy red, like I can't pay bills. Like that bad red.
To pay for things.
Yeah, like I'm hemorrhaging money with this thing. Unless I could sell the posters, you know what I mean? So
I'm telling you, I'm about to start pushing those posters for you like crazy.
Yes, audience, buy the fucking posters in this shirt.
It's so fucking bad.
Don't even worry about the damn book. Get the damn posters. 90 fucking pounds.
90 goddamn pounds of posters.
Oh my gosh.
I know, it's ridiculous. But yeah, like you said, like there's like that line that was like just everything. I mean, there's more to it too. God, this goddamn thing is like obsessed with this light in here. Sorry. I mean, there's so many things we can get into. I mean, if you want to, we can even I can the character that he made himself.
There you go.
I found out, I Googled, you know, his character name. And I found out after Googling, because I was like, this motherfucker's having himself in the book. Like, what do I do about this? And I was like, let me see if I Google the name that he uses as for himself. It's already a Marvel comic book character.
What?
Oh.
And I was like, so I wrote them both like, motherfuckers, this is already a Marvel comic book character. You cannot put me in this situation that I will get sued. I will be embarrassed. I will, you know, get embarrassed Comicsgate in general. Could you imagine Ethan and everyone endorsing this and I do some dumb shit like that, like have a character that's already out there in Marvel, like in my book? And so I was like, yeah, Jay knows, like, Oh my God. And so there was just like one thing after another where I was like, I have to like rip that Band-Aid off and like I'm done. So I don't know if you guys want to get into the story, but I'm excited about this.
Honestly,
oh, you mean the story about the comic, not about your life? Because this is fucking entertaining.
Like
I know.
You know what?
I know. I mean,
whatever you want.
If you want. Let me know. Let me know when you want to move on to the story.
Would
but yeah,
the
it's
actual
just like
Martina comic book come out where you like put your life in picture form?
You know what? I want a comic book about you trying to make this comic book.
Yes.
Like that, I think that should be your next Indiegogo, is the struggle of attempting to make this comic book a thing.
The first documentary comic in comics.
That just details the struggle.
It's seriously so entertaining. My friends, I mean, I haven't really talked about it personally that much. I try to just really be, I mean, I've talked about it personally, but not like publicly. You know, so you guys really have some like good chicks. I haven't been talking about it, but it's really entertaining. And my like friends know, like okay, Rainbow even says she hasn't even gotten to some of the best bits. Tell me, Rainbow, what's the best bits? Tell me, please.
Type in the chat
I think
so she can cover it.
This is the name of your comic.
The Legend of Fucker is the best name ever. Oh my gosh, Martina, I'm gonna work with you. This is gonna be a thing. We're gonna make it happen.
Okay, let's make it happen, and you guys can manage it because managing it last time. It was so fucking annoying. Oh my god. It really was an onion of fuckery. Holy shit. And like I said, it's like being in an abusive relationship where like I couldn't get away from it. Like I felt emotionally like I needed them. And
well, you had invested
really
so much at that point. You're like, it's exactly like a normal abusive relationship. You had invested so fucking much. Yeah. It just you felt like you had to get something out of it.
Right. Yeah, and you couldn't fathom like without them, you know, even though I didn't need them.
Right. Well, and I mean, I think that's another thing that people kind of get pigeonholed into, and something that people should probably consider a little bit more is just because you start with a certain creative team doesn't mean that that's the creative team that you're going to end with.
Yeah.
And there are people that could start out really well or really strong and then never really progress. Or there's people that are phenomenal pinup artists that are terrible interior artists that cannot do sequential art. But they're amazing at pinups, and it's like, you know, you have a place within the comics community for sure. Thank you, Star. You have a place in the comics community for sure, but you don't. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're a comic book artist. You can be a pinup artist and not a comic book artist. You can only do interiors and suck at splash pages. Like there are things, people have their own lanes, and you don't always know what that is until you kind of push that boundary. But just because something doesn't work out like you had planned, it doesn't mean that there has to be negativity that you have to stick with that team and just figure out how to make it work. Like you can change it up. Everybody has the ability to change it up and say anything different.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point. And I know it's my husband in there.
Oh, is that your husband?
And, yeah.
Jack! Oh, you poor soul.
Yeah, he was there the whole time. So he's just kind of like, he's like, I lived through that shit with her. But it is really funny.
How did he not like fly to LA and just like cap some bitches? Because I feel like that.
Because he can't come to America.
Yes, that was the thing, Shae. That's why she couldn't come back from the UK for a while.
Look, I don't always follow all the dramas. I just knew Martina had left us for a while.
There's more drama. There's a lot of drama in my life, okay? It's been years and years and years of drama, and it's just so funny because I don't like, and I know people feel the drama say this, but like, I really don't want drama. I really don't.
You certainly didn't want false reports and watch lists and all that shit, and I mean, it's just wow.
It's just
but you live an interesting life.
Passive. Yeah, it really is interesting. The thing is, when you're passive and I do let people walk on me. Like, I know that I sometimes appear just like, strong or whatever. I mean, I think anyone in my situation after years and years of all sorts of different kinds of abuse would probably be like suicidal or have mental breakdowns, which, not saying I'm like perfect, but like I'm strong enough emotionally and mentally to, you know, just laugh and keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. But yeah, this was the last bit of drama.
I'm checking on you a lot, right? Because of what you just said.
Thanks.
I'm
because
sorry.
it's
I'm
really
traumatizing. I really do. Right.
Because it's traumatizing. Yeah.
It is. Well, and the thing is when you're a naturally strong person, this is something that Sai and I both know very, very intimately. When you're a really strong person, people tend to take advantage of the fact that you're strong and continually put shit on you over and over and over again because you seem like it doesn't faze you, because you seem like you can bounce back from it and everything's fine. And so they're like, oh, it's not that bad. And they just keep on pushing the bar of acceptability and keep on taking more and more until eventually you hit a point where you're like I'm either going to murder people, cry, or like I don't even know. Like I don't even know what the possibility is, but it's not going to be good.
And it's also being like too nice. Like I've always been very passive, and I'm always very nice and overly giving. Like, you know, for example, just giving thousands away. Every time you asked me like for money, it was like, okay, you know, and then it's just like, I'm just so passive that people know to take advantage of that a lot of the times. It's happened like my whole life. I'm just very nice. And you know, we were talking earlier before the stream came on, and it was just like, you know, in high school, I was not the popular, you know, clique, and I was like the loser. And so that, like I said, still in my 30s, like that is deep rooted in me. And so I'm like a people pleaser. So I try to be overly nice so people like me. You know, I want to be really nice so I'm loved and respected, but it tends to do the opposite.
We're going to have conversations after this because I feel you and I know what you're talking about and I know how to get past that shit. So we're going to talk after this.
and it's funny because when I try to then be like strong, you know, I am strong because like I'm fine. But like when I try to stand up for myself and have that backbone towards people taking advantage of me, it's weird because then I get told like, whoa, like stop being such a bitch. You know, and it's just like, well, I'm just trying to like have a backbone, like I don't know.
So just to throw that out there, the people that are the kinds of people that take advantage of somebody who's very sweet natured and a little bit more passive, the first line of defense for them is to instantly act like you are the most dramatic, most outlandish person on the face of the planet, because they know that that's what you're the most afraid of. And so the second they do that, you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, and you back off. And once you baard off, they're like, I got you. It's easy. Like, now I know how to control you.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it was like with those meetings of like, okay, well, guys, let's like get the storyboard. Okay, next page. Like, okay, where's the art? Where's the art? Where's the art? It's kind of like, hold on, you're being a bit aggressive. I have bills to pay.
I don't care about your damn bills.
That's not the way it works, Martina. This is the way it works, you know. And it just was like, okay, you're not listening to me, so Band-Aid off. Bye.
I would have been like, look, that might be how it works in some parts of LA where you don't have to produce shit and you can just lay around having your latte and talking about how wonderful your art is.
You know what, Martina, hire me inside to be your managers the next time something like that happens, because I will.
Well,
I will. You guys are my new best friends now. Any friends?
Yeah.
Seriously. No, and like and in all seriousness, like I've seen this with a bunch of different creators. Sadly, I think mostly female, because women are they're generally a little bit more people pleasing, but I've seen it with some males too that are just, I just don't want the drama, I don't want the trouble or the hassle. And they compromise so much of their intellectual property and their integrity, and it's like you don't got to do that. Like I'll be the bitch. I don't care. I'll call somebody up and be like, you're not doing that to my friend. That's not happening. Sorry.
I mean, that's specifically why I was hired to be a writer on this book, is to come in and just fucking
that's good.
Do what has to be done, because you need that in a project.
Why she was brought on.
And I ended up like talking to a lot of backers and like the like official Comicsgate people, and I was like, I'm having this issue, like, and I like wrote down like everything and I explained this whole storyboarding thing, and they were like, no, you should have had that storyboarded before the campaign launched. Like you should have had this done, that done. And I was like, okay, so I'm not crazy here, a year and 4 months late, being like, storyboard, guys.
Right.
No. Did I really have to tell you that?
Literally the first thing I walked in and asked for as the editor was, so where are the layouts?
Right. And so a year.
I get that the art's being done, but where are the layouts so that we can start matching script to layout?
Yeah. And I mean, it's just, what was I going to say?
Take your time.
I don't know. No, I don't know. I forget.
It's really
so frazzled.
It's super frustrating. Well, so all of that horrible bullshit drama aside, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about what you want to talk about with the story, because I know that you rewrote it. Do you have an editor?
Well, I think I was mentioning the Comicsgate people. That's what it was. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm back.
Go back to that.
Yeah. So I started talking to the backers and like official Comicsgate people, and they're like, no, like storyboard. Here's a copy of a script, and I see like, because the writer just wrote like a big essay and was like, this is the script, and I was expecting take what I wanted to, was expressing of a storyline, and then turn it into a proper script. And the Comicsgate people gave me an official script that has a cover. It has like storyboard things. It was like proper script format. And I was like, this is what I was expecting a script writer to do, not give me a whole new story that I don't want, like in a paragraph. Like I have a story. I need you to put it into a fucking script. So I had a lot of help. I have a lot of the Comicsgate people, a lot of the other comic people saying, send it to me. I'll help you. I'll help look at things. So, I mean, I'll send it to everyone. I have some of the people in the chat that I talked to in my Discord that, I've sent it to them. And right now it's like I said, I have a story written out. I definitely still need a lot of help figuring out how to turn it into like dialogue and text on a page.
Right.
But I have the idea. And I have every page, like looking at what people gave me, I was able to kind of start formatting a script of how each page is going to flow and what each page is going to look like. And, making sure the 2 pages on the same panel, like, flow, and that they line up and making sure the story page by page is where I want it to be. So I'm at that point, but I'm still very nervous about actual text. So yeah, I'm just sending it to everyone that's offering help.
I would love to help you if you still need help. I know that Sai and I both talked about this before you came on the show. We both would love to help however we can, especially because this is not how this is supposed to go. And this is not how indie creators are supposed to kind of be treated and how we should treat each other. And so the way that we kind of wanted to try and at least help you specifically is the fact that because, Comicsgate is all basically like a giant family of this is how things should go. We want to try and help you with that. And we'll talk more after about it, but seriously,
everybody's been so supportive in the comics world. I mean, it is just, I'm so thankful. I mean, between everyone, backers and just other comics creators, it's been so helpful, and it's the most refreshing thing in years. Because like I said, after all my dramas from performing to politics to, everything, the one thing that has been like a surprising like breath of fresh air and light in my life has been the comic scene. So thanks,
well, good. Guys. That's the purpose of Comicsgate, right? Is for all of us to help support each other and give all of this. As you as a new creator, you don't have to learn everything for the first time by firsthand experience. We have a ton of people who have had various issues, all the way from I'm trying to get funded and get the payout from Indiegogo, but I'm in a different country and it's not working because it doesn't want to pay out to a foreign bank, or I tried to fulfill and the fulfillment company ran away with all my money, or they sent 50 copies of the same thing to one person, and how the hell do I recoup that? And all those kinds of issues. We've seen a lot happen, and there's a lot of us who have been standing by and taking notes. So like, even though I don't personally, I'm not an artist, I don't currently write for any comics or anything like that, but I do work with a lot of people who are within all of this. I watch what happens with their campaigns, and I've been taking note this entire time to try and make sure that other people can not have to learn from the same mistakes. You know what I mean?
Well, that's really, really great and super helpful. I I think that's really important to do because we can all go out there and individually try to learn and do everything on our own, but we become more powerful when we can pool our resources and information together.
Well, that's what makes it a community.
You're a smart person if you learn from your mistakes. You're a wise person if you learn from other people's mistakes.
Learn from others.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally.
Okay. Let's get into some of the story that you wanted to talk about because real quick though, before we do. So Black Star, love her. She's amazing. She asked, have you ever considered having a publicist or a manager to get a general stance on your campaign?
No, I wouldn't even know where to start or look for that. But
again, we'll talk after.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like having somebody that can kind of help you. And so you're not the only one trying to fight, especially when you have the kind of creative buy-in. I've noticed it's really hard for a lot of people that are super creative to also have that business mindset and to kind of have the emotion turned off, because you have the emotion for the book and it's so close to your heart that you want to do whatever you can to make sure it's great. But in a business world, like, I don't care how much your feels hurt because I told you that you suck and you've missed all of my deadlines. Like, you suck and you missed all my deadlines. And I need you to get your shit together.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think that they did still a lot of damage because not only do I have to, either sell 90 pounds of posters or use my own money to fix this.
Hold on.
How many pounds?
90 pounds of posters.
There needed to be an F-bomb in there.
There's no F-bomb.
90 pounds of fucking posters.
90 fucking pounds of posters.
I love you. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
But like but I have to, fix the damage done to my reputation because everyone is now like, this is really late. This is absolutely ridiculous. Like, blah, blah, blah. It's taking forever. And it's going to take a little bit longer because now I have to start over again and give Weldon my notes and start, making that artwork come out. And now it's the holidays. So it's like, it's constantly something.
To be honest,
but yeah.
It being late is kind of their go-to bitch, to be perfectly honest. But I mean, look at EVS. I mean, how late was he?
Right.
And then look at the other side of the coin, the anti-CG people who just never fucking fulfill at all. So, I mean, you're still doing fine.
No,
yeah. I mean, I think ultimately it was like the right thing to do. So I'm happy. It's just if it were me controlling it from the start, and it's my reputation, it would have gone differently, and we would have been, because like I'm actually I studied math, so I am an artist. I am really like artsy, but I am a bit autistic with things and numbers and like having, and actually even professionally, like I'm New York, right? That's why I was like shitting on like them being like LA bullshitters, because it was all bullshit, and I'm New York, so I'm just kind of like, I don't talk bullshit, I get shit done, you know what I mean? Like, so when I'm booked to do a performance, it's like I have a New Year's Eve performance and I'm like, okay, my costume, like, okay, I gotta get my choreography, I gotta like pick my song, like I gotta, like everything is in line, I'm all packed, I'm ready to go, I gotta book my ticket, like, you know what I mean? Like everything is like, I show up, I'm on time, I'm early, I do my job, exactly what I'm supposed to do. The clients are happy. Like, like that's the way that I handle business. Like, I'm not really about like bullshit. And so it's like, if it were me doing it like from the start, the way like, and being respected of being in control, being the boss, it would have happened on time. No problem. Even if it was my first time doing this, but my reputation is now, she's late, she didn't get shit done, she has to start over, this drama, blah, blah. But I really, truly think that this will be a really great project, a really great story, another character in this world that people will love. And so I think it could actually potentially make book 2 bigger and better. And so to have a team and to have you guys on board, and we can actually split profits next time.
Yeah.
Because there will be profits, and you won't have to do the same book twice, once with assholes and once with people that are actually going to do what you want with your property, with your ideas. So absolutely.
All right, what would you like to talk about with the story?
Yeah, okay, so we can get into the story. I won't go into the old story too much, although my followers in here will be like, LOL, you have to talk about the old story because it was just so bad. That had nothing to do with Lady Alchemy in it ever. It was all this other character. It's hilarious, its own story in itself. But when I started taking over, I was like, okay, this is the story I've always wanted to tell for like 10 years. And it's basically, I was looking at Ethan Van Sciver's, one of his books too, and it was really cool because the first page of it had like 1986 on it or something. And then it had like people like doing stuff in it. And I was like, fuck, that's really cool, right? Like, my first page of my book has to be like, this has to be like good looking. Can't just be another like, here's a panel.
Right.
Like, fuck, what am I gonna do? But the story starts off with Lady Alchemy, which I think is kind of cool because it's a lot of men getting this. They want to see a beautiful woman. And it kind of has this like peeping Tom kind of effect where it's like, let's set up the scene, and it's Brooklyn, New York, which is true to me. And then it kind of like peeps into a window of Brooklyn, and you see Lady Alchemy in, like in her bedroom, which is just, peeping into her life in Brooklyn there. And she's contemplating the mysteries of the universe and what her purpose is, which I don't know about you guys, but that's something that I've always done growing up. And I think a lot of people do that, which is, why there is philosophy and religions. Like, what is our fucking purpose?
Well,
like,
where people are capable of introspection. I'm not sure if the duo in LA is capable of introspection.
True. So I think it would be really cool to have like that, setting up the scene, Brooklyn kind of peeping into the window. She's sitting there, wondering about these deep thoughts that I think people can relate to, and have it be beautiful and stunning. And then flip to going in New York City, going into the subway, so establishing shots of New York, going into the subway. And kind of in my pitch originally, I took out a lot of the artwork, but the original pitch had some artwork of me going into a subway, and there's like these ads everywhere, which is true to New York. And a lot of them are kind of like, like the movie They Live, and it's just very like, like that. Yeah, and it's like the Apple products have like a serpent around it because it's like Apple, like, like take the bite of the apple from like the Bible, and it's like taunting you, the devil's taunting you, and like things like that. So it has that kind of foreshadowy stuff in there. And then I go into, I'm going to perform. So I approach the nightclub that I'm working at, the theater, and it's very, again, this is all real life. It's very Studio 54, but today. So if you can imagine what Studio 54 was like, it's like this New York, like outside with the awning, and it's like men in suits out front at the door, guys, big crowd of people, and they're all like people dressed up and like dying to get into this hot spot. Totally true, which is the way it was. And it's just kind of like, you guys can come in. No, you can't. Oh, how much, you getting bottles, like whatever. Celebrities walking in, straight in and stuff like that. And so it has me like approaching that establishing shot. And then you can see Vinya, which is like the bad character, or this lady, mysterious lady. She's able to just walk right in past the crowds and just gets like escorted right in. So it's kind of like, ooh, who's she? And then I'm backstage and getting dressed, getting ready to perform. And there's all the other characters and performers. And again, this is real life. What it was like was just, we had contortionists stretching, doing crazy bendy things behind me while I'm doing my hair and makeup. And then there's, midgets, there's drag queens, there's various sorts of freaks and stuff. It's just a really, really crazy venue that had all sorts of wild stuff. And what I brought to the venue was beauty and, the Lady Alchemy stuff that you guys see. So I'm just getting ready for that performance. And then one of the performers says that Vinya's here tonight. And that's kind of what it's like. Sometimes it's like, oh, Lindsay Lohan's here tonight, or it's Saudi Prince is here tonight. Like, it's just every once in a while, it's just like, oh, James Franco is here tonight. Like, like we'll have like, ooh, in the dressing room talk. And it's like, oh, Vinya's here. And if you look up that name, Vinya, it's actually a demon. So it has a lot of really cool backstory to that name itself. In like Christian, I don't know if it's in the Bible, but like in Christian lore, there's this like demon that has, it's cool. This backstory to her character that is like, like underlining like meanings, like the symbolism. Yeah. There's like, so if you look it up, it's actually a real name that has like deeper meaning to it. So it's cool how many different layers I put into it. And she's basically the head of a a corporate mass media company, kind of like Condé Nast. So she has the capability of putting you on billboards, making you a star. So everyone's all excited and getting ready to do that. And they're like, Lady Alchemy, 30 minutes to the stage. And then it cuts to the theater and Vinia watching the performance, and the host, on the mic. So like the club that I worked at, there was always like a host who would like sing and have her own kind of like acts, and she would like fuck with the audience and be like, in real life, she would be like, all right, you motherfuckers, like, oh, look at you, like white bitches, like you need some black dick in you or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like they would just they would like say shit like that, they're really like fucking with the audience, like, oh, who's doing lines tonight type shit, like stuff like that. So it's kind of like, all right, I don't want to put all that like white black stuff in there, but like, how do I depict her, just doing her thing, and she's wrapping up a song, and it's like, all right, motherfuckers, like, are you ready to like for these two characters? And these two characters is funny. I don't know if I should be talking about this because these fucking haters are gonna clip this and like use this against me or something.
It's totally up to you.
It's so fucking good, dude. The layers are so good. And she's like introducing like, oh, like these bitches are gonna make you repent, right? So let me break this down for you. There are two girls.
The there you go. Yeah.
I am.
I put up a new banner for it.
This is how we do.
Are you guys following what I'm saying? Because I know I keep bouncing.
Yes.
Okay. And so, okay, basically the host is announcing this like act, and this act is a real act that I was around, that these performers would do. And there's these two girls that I worked with that were championing me getting blacklisted, making sure I get fired, ruining my life to this day. I mean, even just like a month or so ago, one of them was like on Twitter trying to get me involved in more drama and say, oh no, she's like lying. She's trying to pretend now that I'm lying about everything that happened to me in the scene. I'm like I have screen caps, bitch. Like, like own it. Like, you wanted me blacklisted because of my politics. Own it. Right. You know what I mean? Stop now being like, that didn't happen. Yes, it did. Okay. Now you're angry that I keep talking about it and that I've like gotten attention out of it. Now you're angry trying to say, well, that's not really true. She's just saying that. Bitch, shut the fuck up. So they're still like, they're still up my ass. You know what I mean? Like, they're still up my fucking ass. Even though like they got me out. They got me out of the theater. They ruined my life. Like, you're still up my ass. Like, go away. So one of the bitches' name is that one in particular is Stormy Leather. And so in the book she's Windy Lace.
Oh my god.
And the other one is Dee Dee, and I don't want to say her full stage name.
I've now re-updated the banner just for you.
I love it. And then so I have the other character, which is similar to her stage name, is CC Fucks. So I have these two characters that I've put in, and they are doing an actual act that they did. And one of them, the act that they did at this theater that I worked at was dressed up as nuns, and they would open up this like Bible, and there's like flames coming out of it, and they run around stage and they rip their like nun clothes off and they start dildoing each other on stage. Right? That was their like act. And my act.
So a very subtle performance this way.
Yeah. And so I have them doing that act where it's like, like they're, I figured, I was like, this is not a kid's book. You know what I mean? So why am I going to water down my real life? When like, this is entertaining, like okay, these people. I
gotta show this.
Oh my gosh, this is terrible.
Your husband's horrible. And it's so true, it does.
Yeah. So they are doing a real act that they do. And I just figure, I mean, it's not like this is for kids. So I might as well like have people read the book and be like, what? Like it's entertaining as fuck, It's like these bitches did what? And it's actually really, really cool because it is true to real life, and it is the antithesis of what my performances were about. So my performance at that club was a fallen angel act, because I have this whole thing with my bloodline and fallen angels where that's what Lady Alchemy is about, is bringing these concepts to life on stage. So it's funny that they do this really anti-Catholic, act that's like very demonic and evil. And to me, when people are around that like degeneracy or whatever, it it degenerates their soul, their spirit. Like, it's kind of, it's propaganda that's like making them degenerate. And so that is making the audience, their aura, it's like taking a bit of their souls away, and Vinny is able to like, get some of that source. Yeah. Some, they're being, how do I say it? Like
he's feeding off their vicarious corruption
like that. Their souls being like chipped away is being fed to Vinia. Like she's able to get like more source power out of that. And then when Lady Alchemy performs, it's an actual performance that I did.
It's too late because for 30 minutes you've been saying, I went in the subway, I went to
Damn
the club. So.
Yeah, and so Lady Alchemy then performs, and it's the antithesis to that, and it's real life performance that I did, which is a fallen angel act, and it's just this beautiful. It's going to be just beautiful on page, and I'll work
it's
directly.
About style and grace and beauty and subtlety
it'll just like, I just want it to be stunning. I'm all about costumes, and this is what the old artists and stuff didn't do. Like I'm like, Lady Alchemy is all about costuming, and like you've never consulted me about costumes or any of that stuff. So I'm really excited to work closely with Matthew and make sure that like everything is just stunning. People open it are like entertained by the like dildoing nuns and the drama, but like, but at the same time, when they get to Lady Alchemy stuff, you're like, wow, like it's not just generic comic book, pretty. It's like they've never seen anything like that. It's like really Lady Alchemy aesthetic. So then there's that. And my performance does something different than their performance. It actually helps build their spirit and their aura. And that intrigues Vinia and is like, what's up with this bitch, Yeah. So when I go backstage to get ready to go home, Vinia wants to talk to me, and she pulls me aside and says that she wants me to do this performance for like world leader or like Illuminati type, like secret society type people, very important people. And I'm all excited because, she has the power to make you a star, and she wants you to do this big thing for a bunch of really important people. It's really exciting to a performer. So I run off and try to go to the subway, but I get jumped into in an alleyway, and these mysterious figures pin Lady Alchemy down and try to get some of her blood. They start talking about Nephilim and her blood or whatever. And and then so in the morning I'm like, what the fuck was that? What happens? Like what is Nephilim? Why do they want my blood? So she goes to the New York Public Library, which is a stunning library, and all sorts of esoteric images everywhere, and the ceilings, it was just beautiful aesthetics in that library. And she starts digging around looking for information and bumps into this old man named William. And William, I named after, the character is after my ex-step-grandfather who died, who is like my he's not blood related, but he's like the only grandfather that I know. I'm very close to him. He's
1,000% understand that. 1,000% get that.
And it's just, giving him some sort of thing in there. And this is the stuff that wasn't in the original book. It's like, this has to mean something to me, because it's not meaning anything to me.
I have to ask you, the New York Public Library that you're going to have in your book, I don't know if the art for that page is already done yet, but is it going to be like the iconic lion statue entrance to the New York Public Library like we saw in Ghostbusters?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because, looking up stuff about it, this Ghostbusters, yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, I've never been to New York, but that's what I know it from.
The library is stunning. I mean, there'll definitely be stuff that I love when I go there. For example, when you walk in, light just and
it popped, too.
That was scary.
Don't
it's the
die.
demon.
It's gonna be like
Word yourself.
There, I mean, it's stunning walking in because it's just like marble staircases that crisscross, and it just has that really beautiful. I mean, it's just stunning. And then there's I love ceilings. I'm a ceilings person. So it's like gold crown moldings and like it's like the Sistine Chapel like paintings on it. It's really beautiful. So I'm definitely going to take pieces that I like resonate with me in there that also have like alchemy stuff. There's a lot of symbolisms and stuff in our library.
Oh my goodness.
And I mentioned demons, and then Shae drinks out of, a glass of a human skull.
Look, don't judge me and my iridescent skull, okay?
Iridescent skull. Yeah, so she digs around looking, and William asks her if she needs help, and she starts asking about the Nephilim or whatever, and he kind of is like, oh, come with me, and takes her to a secret room in the library and gives her a book called the Mutus Liber, which if you look it up, it's a real alchemical text from like, I don't know, 1500s or something. And it's Latin for the silent book, the mute book, silence, which is like silent book. And it's basically an alchemical book. And she starts learning about her bloodline and what that means, and gives her information of how to perform spells and summon archangels. And the story goes on from there. Maybe we could talk about it at another time, but
don't give everything away.
But it's basically that's kind of how the story's created, and she is able to, start harnessing her powers, and her special bloodline is her ability to, really harness all of that and learn these spells. Some of the archangels, which have their own attributes to help her fight off these forces or whatever that she's trying to do. And, ultimately her in the first page looking for what is her purpose and what is meaning of life. She starts to find her purpose and meaning. And she also finds out that these mysterious figures and these like evil kind of Illuminati type powerful people also have the same blood type as her. And they're trying to lure her into their kind of world and lure her with this fame and fortune, which is what a performer wants, but ultimately she has to choose between good and evil. Like, does she want to use her powers for, evil and good going along with them, or does she want to go away from them and kind of find her truer purpose? And ultimately that turns people, this is where it's not political, but this is where the politics thing comes in and getting blacklisted. When you say no to them, then everyone turns on you. Suddenly, those billboards saying how amazing Lady Alchemy is saying how terrible Lady Alchemy is. And you got Wendy Lace and Cece Fox being like, evil bitch. And everyone's just like, hates you and wants to go after you. And so that's kind of what's about.
Wow. That is a really interesting start to the story, and it's actually really exciting in the fact that I like how you said you're taking from your real life and making it a little bit more fantastical than what you have, and more fantasy world. But it seems like you have a lot of really good parallels with things that you've actually experienced. And I mean, if we're going to be honest, what's one thing that they always tell writers? Write what you know. So you're literally writing this is the shit I went through.
Yeah.
I just dressed it up a little bit, Wendy Lace.
Right. And honestly, it sounds so interesting, and
Thank you.
Definitely sounds more like when I very first heard about Lady Alchemy and I very first started following you on Twitter and watching it. This is what I thought it was going to be.
Right.
So I'm really happy to hear you.
That everyone bought into when you were on, EBS, really at the beginning. I mean, this is the occult, the kind of very stylish, beautiful, kind of dark. This is what people wanted, and it's really good to see that you're getting back to that instead of what West Coast assholes have tried to force on.
Turning it into some other story where Lady Alchemy needs the help of him all the what's going on? There was literally no alchemy. That was another tick on the thing. There was no alchemy in it. There was no Nephilim blood.
Second word in the title.
I know. And then the reasoning was people just don't get that stuff. So we should they'll think it's demonic. And I was like, it's Lady Alchemy.
People from LA don't get that stuff. tough.
Yeah.
And also,
Well, let's be fair. Morons don't get that.
I know.
There we go.
And I was like, so you're having a problem trying to make it happen, but like if they consulted me and did my story, there would be no issue. It's a really important part. And you know what? I don't buy that. Look at the comics people. Look at like, we're all a bunch of nerds. I mean, look at all the other comics that are out there. Like I said, the Scarlet Witch or whatever. I mean, like everyone loves this shit. Like, like Lady Alchemy fits perfectly with all this weird, nerds.
Yep.
Like that's us. Like we get it.
Right.
People watch movies that are into this stuff.
The people who would have bought your comic and are going to buy your comic are going to get your comic.
Right.
There's no point in catering to an audience that you'll never have.
Yeah.
You know what? I can explain exactly what this is like, summed up in a couple of very short words. The two douches from LA basically did a sensing session with themselves and decided that they were going to then market your entire story, just like they do with everything in LA, to the greater audience that doesn't want the story, that doesn't care about the story, that is never going to read, watch, pay for at all this story. And for whatever reason, we're like, oh, we're going to give them what they want because they said they wanted it. Like they're not the target audience. Why would you do that? That makes no sense at all. But they do it all the time. They do it with
literally
TV, movies.
Star Wars, every popular fandom, the SJWs just pile on, tear it down, turn it into what they wanted, and then nobody wants it. Nobody likes it.
And no one can recognize it anymore.
Right.
And that's kind of what happened without giving. And I'm just happy that I did it. I was really scared for the longest time to just let all of this go. But I'm so happy, even if it's going to cost me thousands of thousands. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
just so happy. And before too, when Ethan would ask me what the story's about or whatever, it's kind of like, I don't know. Like the story was just bad.
I know what it's supposed to be about, but
I know what I said it was about. I don't know what this shit is.
And then I kept like it just. I have to send you guys when we're off camera. Like I have to send you the original stuff that they came up with, and then
I've got to
see what I came up with. And it's just, I mean, there's no comparison. I was really unhappy. It didn't make any sense. It was just bad. And and now I'm really excited. I'm truly excited. And I really think that, I mean, so I hope so far from, if you guys can make sense of me going in and out of like the parallels between real life and like stuff. Because there's even parallels with the whole bloodline Nephilim thing. Because I have a really rare blood type and I started researching and I found out that like, there's like stories of like ancient Sumerian cultures and the Book of Enoch and Bible talk about Nephilim, these fallen angels procreating with the humans. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's what I am. So like I've had this fantastic, which is why I did the Fallen Angel Act at the theater that I worked at, which is, like, so all of it actually is like true to form. Like it really, really is like true to what my story is.
Right.
And so everything is also
it inspired your performance. No, you're fine. I'm fine. It inspired your performance art, and now it's inspiring your comic.
Yeah.
That's
and it's what's so exciting too about it is that like any little aspect, like I said, even from Vinya's name to the Munis Liber to the Nephilim, like all these things, people can look up and they're like, "Oh, this is actually real." Like so I love the immersiveness of it, which is why the tarot is kind of exciting too. Like everything can kind of actually make sense like in their real life, and I think that's what's important. What makes a good story, what makes a good comic is that it like people can think about it outside of reading the book, like and teach them something. They can resonate with it.
And it's not completely made up bullshit that you're not inventing the source material. It's out there, so
which is cool because it lends itself to going in so many different directions. I mean, now we can continue book 2 and we can do some amazing stuff with that. And there's just endless materials. There's endless evil forces out there that the evil people of the world are working on that we can represent. And that's kind of what it is. I mean, when we talk about what was it recently? There was like like Superman or something. And SJWs tried to make it like, oh, see, he's an immigrant, or it's like people are like, no, actually that represented this. And a lot of the times, or even I think what's like Rogan, what is it called? X-Men and stuff like that. That represented, you know, this in society and whatever. It's like, yeah, I get it that these stories do kind of resonate on a larger picture
The
for
point was that
people.
they could represent that, or they could represent this, or they could represent something else. The audience had to read into it. It wasn't shoved down their throat.
Well, and I think that that's what's really important, because everyone's going to get out of a comic what they want to get out of it. If you're somebody who's looking for a specific kind of story, and you get something that is even remotely close parallel, you're probably going to read more of what you're looking for into it than maybe what was intended to be there. But that's why it's art. That's why so many like stories can relate to so many different people, is because it doesn't necessarily have to be, this is what the story was, full stop. Like, this is all it is. If you get anything else out of it, you're wrong. Like,
art should speak to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's why, you know, I am having it speak to my story without it getting, you know, political. Like it has that element of being attacked and being, you know, like everyone after you, and it's unfair without it being like, and then the SJWs, you know, like and everyone can have that sense of like understanding of how that could feel, you know, whatever whatever they went through, whatever their, you know, happened in their life.
Everyone's experienced some mean girl kind of moment. Everyone's experienced some kind of ostracization. Ugh, I can't talk. They've all kind of experienced all of these different sorts of things. So it makes sense that you writing a story that has a parallel like that, you can read into it what you want to read into it.
Yeah. And I think that the whole you know, evil forces, I mean, in this, at least in the book one right now, it's like just people their energy and their aura and their because there's a lot of things in there too where like the subway ads or whatever, they start to kind of like they start to kind of come to life to me. I see them for what they are a bit more, you know, and others are influenced by it. They're constantly looking up at the billboards or the ads, or, you know, when I go upstate in the book and I'm taking the train up, again, real life, you know, everyone's consumed by their phones. Instead of, if you look out the window on the Amtrak train going upstate, it is the most beautiful, stunning view ever. There's mountains. You're along the river the whole time, and there's it's just so beautiful. Yet no one's looking at it. They're looking at their devices, you know. So like these are kind of like real life things that, you know, are true, and so we're able to. I don't know. There's a lot. There's a lot of like stuff in it.
I know exactly what you're saying. So basically, what you're doing, and I think that it's something that Comicsgate people do a lot better than the mainstream, and it's exactly what you're getting at. You're effectively using metaphor so that you're not spoon feeding the stuff to the audience. It's much more like how TV shows and movies used to be back in the day, instead of the garbage that's turned out now. And it can resonate on many different levels, and that's, to be honest, that's one of the reasons why I go back and reread things or rewatch things years later, is because when you get into a different place, you take something else out of it. And that's what I meant by art speaking to you, because like it's going to speak in a slightly different voice to each person that experiences it. And that's what you want. And it's really good to hear that you're not letting the LA assholes, you know, dictate that kind of stuff to you, because
so much better.
Yeah, exactly. And with the story that you're crafting, with all that built-in kind of nuance to it, I mean, you've got the occult, you've got the Nephilim, you've got all these things that have this built-in depth. So as a writer, I also get that you can just borrow the depth. You don't have to worry about all the huge amount of backstory that it would take to create your own world. So
right. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, this sounds exactly like what everybody was wanting to back, and I'm very, very proud of you for not letting something as, for lack of a better word, as traumatic as all of this has been, especially with the people in LA, and, you know, feeling that use and that like watching your creative baby just get like murdered. I'm so very proud to see you stand up and be like, not only is this not what I'm going to put out, I'm going to put out what I wanted to put out, and I'm going to put it out whether I take a loss or not. And this is going to happen because this is what I promised, and I am going to deliver. That's exactly what Comicsgate is about. That's what indie comics should be about. That is what anytime somebody is talking about doing better than a lot of the bigger corporations, this is what better is. This is saying that I understand this situation sucked for me, but just because it sucks for me doesn't mean it has to suck for everybody. And I am going to make it right. And that's a hard thing to do. And I'm very impressed with the fact that you have stuck by your guns and said, no, it's happening. There's no way.
Thank you. That means a lot. Yeah. I mean, I don't know any other way. I couldn't imagine just like.
Well, and that's the thing in corporate America when they're designing these books and, you know, their focus groups and committees that decide on all this bullshit and what we have to include in this to make it appeal to the masses that are never going to see it, never going to care about it, and certainly never going to buy it. Standing your ground about your artistic integrity and what your vision of your book, your property is, I mean, that's really important. And so to hear that you've had this journey, I think it makes the book better because it's like, you know, you could have settled, you could have had Lady Alchemy and yeah, I know.
I'm so proud that you didn't.
Lady Alchemy and, you know, the little sidecar being the sidekick. Yeah, the damsel. and how enlightened and SJW and leftist is that bullshit with people out in LA trying to turn the strong woman character, the well right, you know, thought out strong woman character into a damsel. I mean, what the fuck? You can see the hypocrisy. Exciting. It's just blinding.
I know. It's just, oh my God. I'm just so much happier. I know it's going to cost me, but I hope that you guys think it's like really cool. I really think that even in the comments.
Yeah. Right. I only know what you said on this stream and what I've seen from before when you said what it was supposed to be, and I'm like 1,000% on board. It seems amazing. So I think you're going in the right direction. And even if you take a loss here, I don't think that you're going to take a loss on book 2, book 3. Yeah. I think that especially because people are going to have that faith in you. So
and I think that the Comicsgate scene too, like our indie comics world, like I said, this is our like, what is it called? Scarlet Witch, you know, like this is like something that I think is really, really necessary in our world. And we have a lot of men, we have a lot of, you know, big badass men, which is great, you know, do your thing. We have some of the sexy girl stuff too, but I just feel like this vibe of like alchemy is going to be our version of Scarlet Witch. It's also actually much cooler because like from what I've read in the Scarlet Witch, it's very surface. It's very just like, and now I do spell, you know, it's like, it's like really deep, you know?
Like, I love the accent that you held out for that. And now I do this spell.
And now, but like mine is going to be like, just like deeper. It's like definitely going to have like a more serious, like tone to it where it's like, oh shit, like this is really intense. So it's kind of like Scarlet Witch, but like deeper and more intense.
I love it.
But I think it's gonna be our girl in this alchemy.
Absolutely. I think it's gonna be amazing. So one final question before we go off of stream. Thank you very much for putting that up there. Yes, buy
90 pounds of posters.
She has so many posters. Buy the posters, buy the shirts.
I'm going to take that off because Martina was sitting up really high to get her face.
Trying to be seen.
90 pounds posters.
So, for sure, you definitely make sure that you back this. And the last question that I had for you before we go off stream, this is by far the longest stream that we've had with one creator. And I think it's for very good reasons. We're covering a lot of really important things that needed to be said, especially a little bit more outwardly from your mouth about everything that had happened in the situation. And so I think that was really important, but also just you're a joy to talk to. And this is a really complicated and very like intriguing project. So it's very, very cool. And I spent a lot of time with this, so I'm getting my time out of this because damn, it took a while.
I know, right? It must take a while.
I promise to share this. Hold on.
No, don't do it.
I'm doing it.
Doing it.
You can ask your question while I do it.
Okay. So you're such an ass. So how long are you planning on staying in demand?
Oh, that's a very good question. So, I mean, I'm new to this, so it's like, what, I have to like close the campaign and then it's like done, right?
Yes. So what most people would do is wait until you have all of the art done and you're ready to send off to the printer. And then you would close your in demand, so you have your solid numbers of how many books you're going to actually need to print, because you need that number to send to the printer.
Right.
Or if you're going to overprint, you keep it open. Then you would keep it open maybe until you're even fulfilling.
Yeah.
That way you have a chance for those reviews to hit.
Yeah.
And so people who haven't backed it can be like, oh wow, this was really awesome, and then that word of mouth spreads and more people jump on and buy your book. So then
well, I mean, I've been in demand for so long, and I don't want to like overdo it, but yeah, I mean, I'm back to the beginning stages, and like I said, now it's like holiday season or whatever. So I'm going to just talk to Weldon to see exactly when we can start having things flowing a little bit better. And then I'll have a better guide of knowing when it's like actually going to be finished. And so I will probably take that advice of, you know, having lots of things completed and kind of ready to go before I close it down. And then I'll probably close it down because I am going to overprint, but you know, I'll be selling those goddamn posters and stickers and the book and everything on my website on lady-alchemy.com. So even if it's not in demand, I will definitely like overprint and just have stuff to sell. Shirts.
That's awesome.
I have so much shirt. Yeah, a lot of stuff.
All right. Well, honestly, this has been a super awesome stream. I'm so happy that we were able to have you on and to go over your book and to go over your story. This is amazing. And when you get closer, before you close down, we'll have to have you back, and so we can get the final update and maybe see some of the actual art and everything. And it'll be amazing. Sai, do you have any final questions?
No final questions. I just wanted to mention that I have Martina's Twitter in the description, Lady Alchemy's Twitter in the description, and a link to lady-alchemy.com already in the description. All of them underneath the link to your campaign. So all of that is there for those of you who are watching on repeat. So you can absolutely find them there, if not in the chat throughout the stream.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
And make sure that you go and back Lady Alchemy. I mean, aside from the fact that the book is going to be absolutely amazing, Martina has worked her ass off for this, and she fucking deserves. She deserves everyone's support. She's done a phenomenal job. She's worked very, very hard. She's gone through a lot of crap to try and bring us this story, and it sounds like it's going to be amazing. So make sure that you go back. Thank you to everyone in the chat for coming out. It's been so great being able to talk to all of you. You guys have been hilarious for sure. And thank you again so much, Martina, for coming on. I know that you've got a crazy schedule and a lot of stuff going on, so I appreciate you taking the time out to come on our humble little channel and hang out with us. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. Anytime.
Absolutely. And then, of course, thank you to my co-host / producer, Sai, for all that you do, like getting me my super awesome GIF background, which I am super in love with.
Awesome. It's awesome.
It was so good.
So fucking cool.
All right. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Red Valkyrie. Don't forget to go and back Lady Alchemy on Indiegogo. She's going to be in demand for a little bit longer while she works through the last little bit of getting the actual book created. And don't forget to go and follow all three of us, because why wouldn't you? And thanks everyone so much for coming out, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.